Hi, this is Ayana, Priestess of Power and Wealth, and today I am broadcasting from the beautiful seaside spiritual city of Encinitas, California. Now, Encinitas, California is just saturated with spirituality, saturated with yoga studios and massage therapists, and people who are really into the higher vibrations of life. And Yogananda Paramahansa, who is the main person in the book, Autobiography of a Yogi, he built his hermitage here in the city. And I believe that the reason why there's such this beautiful vibration here, if I can use that term, is because of all the meditation, all the prayers that have saturated this area. Now, he's no longer alive, but that area, the Hermitage, still has monks there and people who study, and it's just beautiful. So if you're ever in Encinitas and would like me to give you a little tour of the Self-Realization Fellowship, which is the fellowship that Yogananda established, or the bookstore, oh my gosh, the store itself has the most beautiful clothing and beautiful spiritual statues, and of course Yogananda's teachings. So if you ever like to come by and visit, and I'll give you a little tour of the gardens and the bookstore and the fellowship that's here. So here I am today again, speaking on keys to creating wealth. And today is key number 4. And key number 4 is your thoughts. Riches begin in the form of a thought. So I'm going to sidetrack a little bit because you know that I love art, and you can see behind me, again, the great lady who's behind me. I like to believe that she is one of the renditions, artistic renditions of Mary Magdalene, who I follow and am inspired by. And here on this side is an archangel over the fence, and she's feminine. You don't see her too clearly here, but she's defending. I also like, that I like to share not only other people's art, but some of my art. And here is one of my earlier pieces that I've done. And wow, look at her. And that's actually a piece that I did, a drawing that I did in my early days of taking art seriously. And she is peeking out. If you look at her eyes, she's peeking out from behind her beautiful mask. It is a self-portrait from my younger years and when I wore my hair longer, and the person that I saw myself to be at that time. So if you like it, let me know. Any comments on the art? I used to not like to share my art too much because I didn't think it was that good. But, it is me, and that's who I am. And I'm an artist, and I'm a dancer, and I'm an educator. And right now, in this phase of my life, I am inspired. I am literally called to empower women, to mentor women to become powerful, to heal, to become powerful, and to create a legacy of sustainable wealth. That's what I'm doing right now. That's why I'm sharing what I'm sharing. And it's to get you inspired, motivated, educated, trained, so that you too can create a legacy of sustainable wealth. Right now, I am powerfully positioned to create my first 6-figure empire. I am an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since 2008 and didn't have that much success. I had some success, but it was always up and down and inconsistent as far as the money. But once I invested in myself, I invested in quality mentors and coaches, my gosh, just in a couple of weeks, the results have been so significant that I am absolutely sharing what I have with you. Now, today, so we're going to go into the fourth key to creating wealth, because there are keys, and creating wealth is systematic. It's scientific. There are laws to money, and I love talking about money. There are laws to money, and there are laws to creating wealth, and it's every step is important if you are serious about creating wealth in your life. And I'm not talking about just wealth. I'm talking about creating sustainable wealth that you can leave as a legacy for your children and for your progeny, or for the projects that you want to continue on into forever and ever. Perpetuity, I think the word is, after you pass on. So that's what I'm about. I am about empowering my sisters, empowering women to create a legacy of sustainable wealth. And to get there is systematic, but it's also healing. We have to heal. And I know this to be true for myself. I've come from a background of lots of trauma. Didn't realize how much trauma until one of my coaches said, "Hey, you do a good job of hiding that trauma." And it wasn't that I was trying to hide it, it's just that I dealt with it so much and so often and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to get well and healed from that, and did. I had a degree of success in healing my early childhood sexual trauma, domestic violence, the trauma that came from domestic violence, and the trauma that came from being, just stalked. I was stalked and almost raped and killed. I actually talked them out of it. But I'll share a little bit more of my process as I go along, because I believe that there are women and men out there who have experienced exactly what I've experienced. And by the way, yes, men experience early childhood sexual trauma as well. So here we go. That's where I came from. That early trauma, that early sexual childhood trauma, and the young adulthood in my early 20s, early 20, like 20, 21, 22, 23, of major domestic violence, again, almost to the point of being killed, and then being stalked. All of that created a lot of chaos in my life, and just intense chaos, and not being in the right relationships, and up and down with my money. So I came through that and had a lot of success with my profession and education, and teaching at the university level, teaching at the college level, teaching at the elementary school level, and being a teacher, being a mentor, being a coach, being a guide, training. My background's in dance, and I did lots of choreography and dance and theater and producing concerts. Just a lot of fun is what I love to do. And of course, I'm an artist. I'm also a very masterful spiritual seer, prophetess, one who can move energy and powerful healing. So I came from this early childhood sexual trauma, and went through all the processes that I went through, and come through the other side of being able to attract and magnetize a beautiful relationship in my life, and come stepping powerfully into this wealth consciousness that's actually showing me results in my bank account. And I am now powerfully positioned to create my first six-figure empire, and that's this year. And then I will go on to the double six-figure empire, and on to the seven-figure empire. That's what I'm doing. And I'll be doing this, traveling internationally and helping others, supporting other women, and having a lot of fun doing it in luxury and in style, because it's our birthright. It is our birthright. So the wealth consciousness starts with a thought. And on November, excuse me, November 11th, I believe it was the new moon of 2015, I shifted very powerfully into a wealth consciousness. I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on with my business. I don't understand what's going on with my money. I don't understand what's happening here. There's something more. There's something else I'm not getting. And I was doing it all by myself. I was doing it alone. I had this thought that I had to do everything alone, which is actually quite arrogant. And so I admit to the arrogance of it, even though I felt I was being humble and not asking anyone for help. But it's actually a form of arrogance. So I've let that go, and I reached out for help. And it started with a thought, and I began to ask God, what is it that I'm not seeing? Help me to see. I'm willing to see. I'm willing to change and see things differently. I'm willing to change and do things differently. And what are those things I need to change and see differently? Because when I know that, I will do it. And one of the things that shifted powerfully and dramatically and just intensely for me is I shifted into wealth consciousness. It was as though the universe just took off all the blinders of poverty and lack and limitation and debt and, you know, my money going up and down, and it just left. And I was in my divine birthright, which is yours as well, this divine birthright of wealth, We have riches, we have billions of dollars stored up in heaven for us to access, so that we can not only have a good life, but we can share that with others and create an incredible life. So I am wanting to let you know this. The fourth key to creating wealth is thought. It's thought. It's how we think. The key, and I'm reading this right now, the key to living a successful life is to change your way of thinking, learn to use your mind constructively and your hidden powers and forces correctly. Riches begin in the form of thought. So once the wealth consciousness came to me and I realized that I could be wealthy and that I'm actually called to a life of wealth, a life of power, success, and recognition, well, then that was it. All I had to do was find out how to get there. All I had to do was like call in my resources, study. I ended up studying money. I ended up like saturating my mind with images of wealth. I formed a group, so I invite you to join this group, Priestess of Power and Wealth on Facebook. Began to find other women who were interested in the same thing. I began to teach high content, no cost teleseminars every Wednesday at 12 o'clock noon Pacific Standard Time. If you're interested in that, please join us. This is what I'm doing. I hired mentors to help me to attain my goals. I began to change my habits, and I am saturating my mind with thoughts of wealth, with riches, of opulence, of money and big money. Pennies are good, dollars are fine, but I'm talking about big monies. We're talking about into the thousands, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, $100,000. If you can't even conceive it, you won't achieve it. And my mind began to see the millions and the billions and the possibility just literally expanded for me, and I stepped right into it. Now, there are some things that I still have to get in order, but my mind is the first thing. And I'm very consistent. Remember, my first key to wealth is to be consistent. I'm very consistent about feeding my mind positive thoughts, productive thoughts, successful thoughts, possibility thoughts, expanding my mind, reading about very successful people and how they overcame what they overcame to get to where they're at. Reading biographies of old, listening to different tapes, listening to different speakers. Your mind will produce exactly what it sees. Your mind will produce exactly what it sees. And I'm reading from The Work in the Law, one of my tools for the thought. Your mind will produce exactly what it sees. So what are you focused on? What are you focused on? What are you focused on? Are you focused always, continually on creating wealth? If not, why not? What's holding you back? You have a great gift to give to humanity, and it's my belief that doing it in luxury and in style and with wealth is the highest way to go, baby. Why not? If it's not for you, then do it for your children. If not for your children, then do it for do it for your projects that you're interested in. Touch other people with this. This is important. This is important. Poverty is a disease, a worldwide disease, and it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. The universe is wealthy, and I'm encouraging you to step into your wealth, and it begins with the form of a thought. It begins in the thinking. So as I wrap up here, I just want to share with you that please, 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 I ask you if you were inspired at all by this video, please like, please subscribe and share it with your friends. Actually, the subscription rate, the subscribers is increasing, and people are talking about this. That tells me you're inspired. If you're inspired, I continue to give you more and more and more and more. So that's number one. If you're inspired or encouraged, or you learn something from this, then please like this video. Subscribe to the video. Go to my web page, www.ayanamojica.com, and subscribe to the newsletter. We're upgrading. We're up leveling. I don't want you to miss anything. We are moving forward. And there's lots of surprises coming up here in 2016. You're going to see me broadcasting from different countries here in the world and showing you how to do this, how to do your business from anywhere in the world that you choose, and to do it on your terms and to do it in style. That's what's coming up, and I want to take you with me. So I encourage you, get on the mailing list and be inspired. I love you. Blessings to you. Ciao, baby.